Hello guys, in today's video we are going to see a new theory to explain the covalent bond formation, molecular orbital theory. When I started this chapter, chemical bonding and molecular structure, I told you that we will be seeing four different theories. What are they? Cossel-Lewis approach, VSEPR theory, valence bond theory and molecular orbital theory. So far we have completed three theories till valence bond theory, and we have seen about hybridization also. In today's video, we are going to see molecular orbital theory. This theory was developed by F. Hunt and R. S. Mulliken, and this was in the year 1932. The basic idea of molecular orbital theory is that atomic orbitals of individual atoms combine to form molecular orbitals. See, we are talking about theories which explain bond formation, how atoms combine together to form a molecule. So different theories were proposed to explain this bond formation. One such theory is molecular orbital theory. So the basic idea about this molecular orbital theory is that atomic orbitals which are present in individual atoms, they combine to form molecular orbitals, which means just like how electrons are present in atomic orbitals in atoms, same way electrons in molecules are present in molecular orbitals. When you take an atomic orbital, electrons are present in that atomic orbital in an atom, and atomic orbital has only one nuclei. But when you take a molecule, according to molecular orbital theory, the electrons in molecules are present in the molecular orbitals and they are associated with several nuclei. So this is the basic idea of molecular orbital theory regarding molecule formation from individual atoms. So what are the salient features of molecular orbital theory? The first point is, just like an atom, molecule has orbitals of different energy levels. Like electrons of atoms are present in atomic orbitals, electrons of a molecule are present in different molecular orbitals. Just now I told you. The second point, molecular orbitals are formed by the combination of atomic orbitals which have comparable energies. The atomic orbitals of these atoms merge into molecular orbitals. So when we say atomic orbitals, we are talking about sp-df orbitals, and these sp-df orbitals of one atom combine with sp-df of another atom to form molecular orbital. So that results in molecules. As I told you, an electron in an atomic orbital is under the influence of only one nucleus. But an electron in a molecule is under the influence of two or more nuclei depending upon the number of atoms present in that particular molecule. So you can say an atomic orbital is monocentric while a molecular orbital is polycentric. And the next point, the number of atomic orbitals which undergo combination, that decides the number of molecular orbitals formed. Or in other words, number of molecular orbitals formed will be equal to number of combining atomic orbitals. If two atomic orbitals combine, you will get two molecular orbitals. If three atomic orbitals combine, which means 3 from one atom and 3 atomic orbitals from another atom, so you will end up with 6 molecular orbital. So number of molecular orbitals formed depend upon the number of combining atomic orbitals. So if two atomic orbitals combine, so this atomic orbital is from one atom, this from another atom, when they combine to form a molecule, you get two molecular orbitals in that molecule. When you get two molecular orbitals from two atomic orbitals, one of the molecular orbital is called bonding molecular orbital. The other one is called as anti-bonding molecular orbital. I'll explain that in detail. So remember, when atomic orbitals combine, they give you molecular orbitals, and the molecular orbital formed One will be bonding molecular orbital, the other will be anti-bonding molecular orbital. And molecular orbitals are filled in the same way as atomic orbitals are filled. How do we fill atomic orbitals? When you write an electronic configuration, we write 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. We follow certain rules to fill electrons in the atomic orbitals. Same way, molecular orbitals are filled with electrons, following the same set of rules. So, understand the difference between atomic orbital and molecular orbital. When we studied in second lesson, which is structure of atom, we defined atomic orbital. What is an atomic orbital? The electron probability distribution around a nucleus in an atom is given by an atomic orbital. Same way, the electron probability distribution around a group of nuclei in a molecule is given by molecular orbital. So atomic orbitals are the place where electron distribution in an atom is given. Same way, molecular orbital is something which gives you the electron distribution in molecules. Now let's see in detail how these molecular orbitals are formed from atomic orbitals. As I told you, molecular orbitals are formed by the combination of atomic orbitals of bonded atoms. We have learned in chapter 2 that according to wave mechanics, the atomic orbitals can be expressed by wave functions psi. These wave functions represent the amplitude of the electron waves, which means the probability of the electrons. So to explain the molecular orbital formation from these atomic orbitals, scientists have used an approximate method which is known as linear combination of atomic orbitals, which is abbreviated as LCAO, linear combination of atomic orbitals. So according to LCAO method, the molecular orbitals are formed by the linear combination, which means addition or subtraction of the atomic orbitals of the atoms which form the which form the molecule. Let us apply this theory to hydrogen molecule. When you take an hydrogen molecule, how this molecule is formed, from which atoms? From two hydrogen atoms. So these two hydrogen atoms are the bonded atoms. So they are going to undergo combination and you're going to get a hydrogen molecule. So when you take a hydrogen molecule, it is formed by the combination of two hydrogen atoms. So let's name one hydrogen atom as A and another hydrogen atom as B. So each of these atoms have 1s orbital. What is the electronic configuration of hydrogen? Its atomic number is 1, so 1s1. So they have 1s orbital. So you can represent the atomic orbital of these hydrogen atom as wave functions, psi A and psi B. So what is psi A and psi B? Psi A is the wave function of the atomic orbital of hydrogen atom A and psi B is the wave function of the atomic orbital of hydrogen atom B. So these are the wave functions. According to LCAO method, the linear combination of atomic orbitals, so these are the atomic orbitals and they are undergoing linear combination to form the molecular orbital. So this linear combination of atomic orbitals can take place by addition or by subtraction of the wave functions of atomic orbitals. See, molecular orbital, let's name that as psi MO. Psi MO is the molecular orbital and the wave function for molecular orbital that can be formed by addition of the atomic orbital or subtraction of the atomic orbital, which means wave function of the atomic orbitals. So what are the wave functions of the atomic orbitals? Psi A and psi B. So psi A plus psi B is addition of the wave function of atomic orbital. Psi A minus psi B is the subtraction of wave function of the atomic orbital. So either ways you end up with molecular orbital. So simply you can represent molecular orbital as psi MO is equal to psi A plus or minus psi B. So this gives rise to two molecular orbitals. because two atomic orbitals are undergoing combination. So you will get two molecular orbitals. So molecular orbital obtained by addition of wave functions of atoms can be represented as psi MO, which is the molecular orbital wave function, is equal to psi A plus psi B. This molecular orbital obtained by addition of wave functions is called as bonding molecular orbital. And another way is molecular orbital obtained by subtraction of wave functions of atoms, and it can be represented as psi star MO is equal to psi A minus psi B. So you are getting this molecular orbital by subtraction of wave functions of atoms, and we call this molecular orbital as antibonding molecular orbital. So as I told you when we learned about salient features of molecular orbital theory, I told you when two atomic orbitals undergo combination, you will get two molecular orbitals. One will be bonding molecular orbital, the other will be antibonding molecular orbital. And bonding MO is obtained by addition of wave functions of atoms, and antibonding is obtained by subtraction of wave functions of atoms. And remember, when you represent antibonding MO, which means molecular orbital, we'll use a star here. So psi, psi star. Psi means, psi MO means bonding molecular orbital. Psi star MO means antibonding molecular orbital. The physical picture of bonding and antibonding molecular orbitals can be obtained by considering the atomic orbitals. So to illustrate this, we'll take the combination of 1s orbital of one hydrogen atom with 1s orbital of second hydrogen atom to form two molecular orbitals in hydrogen molecule. So we are taking two hydrogen atoms to illustrate how bonding and antibonding molecular orbitals are obtained. So as we have discussed already, the molecular orbital can be obtained by two ways of combining atomic orbitals. First one is addition, the second one is subtraction. So the molecular orbital formed by the addition of overlapping of two 1s orbitals is shown here. See, this is 1s orbital of one hydrogen atom, 1s orbital of another hydrogen atom, and they are overlapping with each other, and here it is addition of overlapping. And from this picture, it is very clear that the region between the two nuclei, see these are the two nuclei, where the two 1s atomic orbitals overlap has high electron density. See, such a molecular orbital is called as bonding molecular orbital. So it is designated as sigma 1s. See, 1s and 1s atomic orbitals are undergoing combination. So you get sigma 1s. This is the molecular orbital. Sigma 1s is the molecular orbital and just 1s is the atomic orbital. And the second way, the molecular orbital obtained by subtraction of overlapping of two atomic orbitals. So from this picture, it is very clear that the electron density between the two nuclei is practically zero. And the electron densities, which means the electron probability densities of two atomic orbitals, get cancelled in the center because of subtraction. So there is no probability of finding an electron in the region of overlap between the nuclei. This situation does not favor the bond formation. Such an orbital is called antibonding molecular orbital, and it is designated as sigma star 1s. As I told you, this asterisk is used to represent antibonding molecular orbital. So when two atomic orbitals of hydrogen undergo combination, what are they? 1s and 1s. They combine in two ways. One addition, the other one is subtraction. When they add, we get a molecular orbital named as bonding molecular orbital. When they undergo subtraction, we get antibonding molecular orbital, and bonding molecular orbital is designated as sigma 1s. Antibonding molecular orbital is designated as sigma star 1s. So remember one thing, the probability of finding the electrons in antibonding molecular orbital is less than that in either of the atomic orbitals. So if you have two atomic orbitals, the probability of finding an electron in an antibonding orbital will be less than either of these two. But here, the probability of finding an electron in bonding molecular orbital will be more than either of these two. So we have 1s, sigma 1s and sigma star 1s, where the probability of finding an electron will be more in sigma 1s. This is bonding molecular orbital, where it will be very least sigma star 1s, which is the antibonding molecular orbital. So to understand this subtraction and addition of this wave functions of atomic orbitals, we can take the electron waves of the combining atoms. As I told you, the formation of bonding and antibonding molecular orbitals can be explained in terms of constructive interference, or we call it as additive effect, and destructive interference or subtractive effect of the electron waves of the combining atom. So these are the electron waves of the combining atom. This is the electron wave of one hydrogen atom, and this is the electron wave of another hydrogen atom, and it is psi A and psi B. So when constructive interference is taking place, which is additive effect, the two waves are in phase. And the amplitude of the wave, this is the amplitude. This is the amplitude of A and this is the amplitude of wave B. When they undergo constructive interference, the two waves are in phase and the amplitude of the waves get added up. See, this is the resultant wave and the amplitudes are getting added up. This is the amplitude of A plus B. So the resulting wave function has more electron density, and this is the bonding molecular orbital. So this is psi A plus psi B wave, and this amplitude is A plus B. This is additive effect. On the other hand, when the two waves are in out of phase, there is destructive interference. What will happen? The amplitude of the waves get subtracted or cancelled. Therefore, the resulting wave function has less electron density. So this gives rise to the antibonding molecular orbital. So for bonding molecular orbital, psi is equal to psi A plus psi B. For antibonding molecular orbital, psi is equal to psi A minus psi B. So when you look at this, you can understand the probability of finding the electron in antibonding molecular orbital is less than either of these two. These are the atomic orbitals. Okay, electron waves in the atoms. Here in the case of bonding molecular orbital, the probability of finding an electron will be more than either of these two. So remember, when atomic orbitals undergo combination, you get molecular orbital. So the number of molecular orbital that you get depends upon the number of atomic orbitals undergoing combination. So when two atomic orbitals undergo combination, you will get two molecular orbitals. One is called bonding molecular orbital, the other one is called antibonding molecular orbital. And the bonding molecular orbital has lower energy and it has greater stability, whereas the corresponding antibonding molecular orbital has more energy and hence has lesser stability. See the relative energies of bonding and antibonding molecular orbitals. Bonding molecular orbitals, there is attraction, so the energy is lowered, so it is stabilized. Whereas antibonding molecular orbital, there is a repulsion, energy is increased, so it is destabilized. Now this is the molecular orbital diagram of hydrogen molecule. See, two hydrogen atom will undergo combination to give you two molecular orbital, so that you get a hydrogen molecule. See, this is 1s, 1s. These two are atomic orbitals. When they combine, you will get two molecular orbitals, one with lower energy, the other with higher energy. This is how you are supposed to represent both atomic orbitals and molecular orbitals. The one with the lower energy is called bonding molecular orbital and designated as sigma 1s. The other with the higher energy is called antibonding molecular orbital and it is designated as sigma star 1s. See, bonding molecular orbital is stabilized to the same extent as the antibonding MO is destabilized. So we are writing it at the equal distance. So these two are atomic orbitals. These two are molecular orbitals. This is bonding molecular orbital. This is antibonding molecular orbital. Out of these two, which has more energy? Antibonding molecular orbital. So it is written on the top and this is on the down. So when we studied valence bond theory, we came up with this same basic idea, just like molecular orbital theory. But the difference between valence bond theory and molecular orbital theory is that a covalent bond is formed by the partial overlap of two half-filled atomic orbitals containing electrons with opposite spin. This is what valence bond theory says. So here these two atomic orbitals, they combine, they overlap to form something like this. So this is the representation of the molecule. According to VB theory, atomic orbitals are not undergoing any changes. They are just overlapping and they are staying as such in a molecule. But in molecular orbital theory, atomic orbitals are no more atomic orbitals in the molecule. When they undergo combination, they form something like this called molecular orbital, in which the electrons are present in a molecule. So that's the main difference between valence bond approach and molecular orbital theory. So to understand this, you can consider two eggs. If you take two eggs and break them directly on the tawa, you will have something like this to make an omelette. So if you're taking two eggs and you're breaking it directly on the tawa and you're getting this. So there is no change in the shape of the egg. Exactly, you're getting two pieces of eggs. But when you take two eggs, break them into a bowl and beat them and then pour them on the tawa, you get something like this. So this is VB and this is MO. Something new called molecular orbital is formed in the molecules after the atomic orbitals undergo combination according to MO theory. But that concept is not said in VB theory. The atomic orbitals, they just overlap and they stay as such. Just like we have sigma and pi resulting from the overlapping in VB theory, we have sigma and pi molecular orbitals in MO theory also. So now let's see how sigma and pi molecular orbitals are formed from atomic orbitals. We know the number of atomic orbitals undergoing combination will give you that many molecular orbitals. Now if 1s and 1s atomic orbital, see this is from one atom, this is from another atom. These atoms are undergoing combination, they are bonding together to give you a molecule. So when 1s and 1s undergo bonding, you will get two molecular orbitals, sigma 1s, sigma star 1s. Whenever we put this asterisk, then that represents anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now second one, 2s and 2s is undergoing combination. You will get sigma 2s, sigma star 2s. These are molecular orbitals. See, 1s and 2s will not undergo combination. So this is the allowed combination. Next, 3s and 3s. You will get sigma 3s, sigma star 3s. Same way, if you have 4s and 4s, you will get sigma 4s, sigma star 4s. We usually stop with 2. Next one is 2pz and 2pz. You will get sigma 2pz and sigma star 2pz. So these are the combinations which give you sigma molecular orbitals. See, 1s, 2s, 3s and 2pz. Now formation of pi molecular orbitals. When 2px and 2px undergo combination, you will get pi 2px, pi star 2px. Same way, when 2py and 2py undergo combination, you will get pi 2py and pi star 2py. So these are bonding molecular orbitals and these are anti-bonding molecular orbitals. When you look at these atomic orbitals, we know how to arrange them in increasing order. 1s lower energy and next comes 2s and next comes 2p and next 3s, then 3p, 3d and it goes on, 4s and 3d it goes on. So same way, these molecular orbitals can also be arranged in increasing order. And as I told you already, just like how you fill atomic orbitals, molecular orbitals should also be filled with electrons following the same set of rules like half-bus principle, Hund's rule, Pauli's exclusion principle. All these rules should be followed to fill electrons with molecular, to fill molecular orbitals with electrons. See, I have written the list of bonding molecular orbitals that we have seen just now. Sigma 1s, sigma 2s, sigma 2pz, pi 2px, pi 2py. All these are bonding molecular orbitals. And anti-bonding, sigma star 1s, sigma star 2s, sigma star 2pz, pi star 2px, pi star 2py. All with this asterisk, they are anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Now, we have an experimentally determined order of increasing energy of molecular orbitals. We have two different orders. In this order, we have sigma 1s, this is the lower energy, and it is arranged in increasing order. Sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, sigma 2pz, pi 2px, which will be equal in energy to pi 2py, pi star 2px, which will be equal in energy to pi star 2py, and sigma star 2pz. So this is the order of increasing energy of molecular orbitals. However, experimental evidences for some diatomic molecules have shown that this sequence of energy level of molecular orbitals is not correct for all molecules. For example, second row elements which form diatomic molecules like Li2, Be2, B2, N2, it has been found that sigma 2p Z is higher in energy than pi 2px and pi 2py. So the other order is, see, sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s. Till that it is same. Here you have sigma 2pz, but for some diatomic molecules, this sigma 2pz has higher energy than this. So this comes in the front. Pi 2px equals pi 2py, and then comes sigma 2pz, and then this is as such. Pi star 2px equals pi star 2py, and sigma star 2pz. So for at molecules like Li2, Be2, N2, this order is followed. For oxygen O2, F2 molecules, this order is followed. So now the rules for filling these molecular orbitals with electrons. See, half-bar principle, Pauli's exclusion principle, Hund's rule. What is half-bar's principle? Lowest energy should be filled first. So this is what we did for atomic orbitals also. So same way, lowest energy molecular orbital should be filled first and then in the increasing order. Pauli's exclusion principle. It says there should be maximum of 2 electrons in each orbital. So in 1s you have 2 electrons, sigma star 1s 2 electrons, sigma 2s 2 electrons, and both will be having opposite spin. So all the orbitals can have only maximum of 2 electrons. And finally, Hund's rule. Pairing of electrons occur only after each orbital of same energy has 1 electron. Look at this. So when you are filling this, you have 3 electrons, put 1, 2 and again 3. We have to put 2 here, okay, after filling these 2. These are having same energy. Unless and until both are having single electron, pairing will not occur. Suppose if you have just 2 electrons to be filled here, you should not put 2 here and 0 here. 1, 1. After singly occupied, then only pairing occurs. That's what Hund's rule says. So remember this order of molecular orbitals. In the next video, we will take few molecules and try to draw the molecular orbital diagram for those molecules based on the concepts that we have learned in this video. Thank you.